Atamarie and welcome to Dynasty Ballpark, where we have day 2 of Jefferies Cup. A bit of a spill there for Chris Agnew on the pitching mat, just drying off from a little bit of rain overnight. Anaru Anderson leading off here for Marlborough. So we've got South Canterbury versus Marlborough. Introducing the defensive lineup here for the South Canterbury. We've got Chris Agnew on a pitching mound. Sam Gilchrist in behind the dish. Dan Flanagan over at first. Corey Durham at second. Jacob Gray at third. Hapani Kumarawa at shortstop. Jackson White out in left field. Jacob White in centre field, and Ricky over in right field. And Chris Agnew doing a great job there, pairing up with Sam Gilchrist behind the dish to get that first out. And that brings into the batter's box now for Marlborough, Dane Gill. Nice field there by Chris Agnew to take the ball on the fly, that straight back from a wee push there by Dane Gill. That's for the second out here in the top of the first innings. Braden Healy into the batter's box now for the Marlborough team. Braden had a good day at the ballpark yesterday for the Marlborough team. Both strong in the batter's box as well as out in the field. At a count of 2-1 here on Healy. I can look at that rise ball, swinging it back into the net. 2-2. Full count here on Healy. And a nice pitch there by Agnew to get the out for the third out here and bring the South Canterbury team in for a hit. Heading into the bottom of the first innings, no score on the board. So as we head into the bottom of first innings, introducing defensive lineup here for Marlborough. Will McDonald on pitching mound, Tyler Bird in behind the dish, Dane Gill at first, Drew Roberts at second, Callum Hayton at third, Braden Healy at shortstop, Blake Wisdom at left field, centre field's Anaru Anderson, and right field is Koki Hoshi. Leading off for South Canterbury, we've got Hapani Kumara, on deck circle Jacob Gray. Hopefully the wind's not being picked up too much on the mic here. Wind is just picking up as the day's progressing. Hard hit straight back at the pitcher, who deflects it off and then picked up by shortstop Healy. Not quite able to get the out over at one. And Jacob Gray into the batter's box now for South Canterbury. On deck circle, Corey Durham. A nice bunt put down by Gray. Kumara makes his way over to two, so sacrifice bunt there, moving the run around to two. Corey Durham into batter's box now for South Canterbury. Nice patient batting in the batter's box there by Corey Durham. 3 balls. And comeback pitch there by Will McDonald. 3-1. And Durham picking the walk will head down to 1. Runners on 1 and 2 here for South Canterbury. Into the batter's box, we've got Dan Flanagan. Nice lead strike there by McDonald. 2 strikes. And hard hit ball down third base line, just going foul. So Finnegan staying live in batter's box with 2 strikes on him. We have rounds 9, 11 and 1 today at the ballpark, so if you're around Ōtautahi, come on down. On the drop, 3rd strike. Flanagan makes 1. Bird decides not to, apologies, it was on runners on, so Flanagan is out. Runners advance around to 2 and 3 and brings into the batter's box Matt Benison. Matt's a DP for the left fielder. So we've got 2 down here in the bottom of the first innings. No score on the board, but South Canterbury in a good position. Two balls, 1 strike. Hard hit onto the roof of the building. Takes the count out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good battle in here by Matt. And a beautiful pitch on the inside there by Will McDonald will get the out at the plate and leave the 2 runners stranded on base. We're heading into the top of the second innings. No score on the board. For those that are keen to tune in for our 11 o'clock game, we've got the Canterbury Red Sox versus Marlborough. Marlborough got back-to-back games here on number 1 diamond. Then at 1 o'clock we have the final those that are keen to come on down to the ballpark. This 9 o'clock round over on Diamond 2, we've got the Waitaha Manahuri versus the Canterbury Under-19 girls. Out on Diamond 4 on the outside diamond, we've got Otago versus Southland men. Also on the outside in Cuthberts, we've got the Under-17 Southland team and South Canterbury, as well as in the girls Under-17s, Otago versus Canterbury Development. So plenty of softball to be watched. Tyler Bird into the batter's box now for Marlborough. So illegal pitch called on that one. So we've got 3 balls. And a good comeback from that illegal pitch by Chris Agnew. 3 balls, 1 strike. And Tyler Bird picking up the walk, heads on down to 1, putting a runner on with no outs here in the top of the second innings. Into the batter's box for Marlborough, Drew Roberts. On deck circle, Blake Wisdom. A nice attempt there on pick-off by Gilchrist, but Bird making his way back safely. A hard hit there by Roberts. It's going shallow of right field, sorry. Advances Bird around to third. Roberts makes his way to second. It brings Blake Wisdom into the batter's box now with runners on 2 and 3 for Marlborough, no outs. Just defending that one off. Puts a strike on him. So 2 strikes. And a nice pitch there by Agnew to get the out at the plate. And a bring into the batter's box now for Marlborough, number 71, Will McDonald. And a big swing on that one, takes it out to 1 strike. That one's on the swing, we've got 2 strikes. Hard hit up the middle will score. Bird and Roberts. 2 RBIs there for Will McDonald here in the top of the second innings, getting Marlborough on the board for the 2 runs to take the lead for this game. Callum Hayton into the batter's box here for the Marlborough team.
Good coming, good coming. Come man. Come me. What colour? What me? What colour? Hey man. Let's go green.
And foul ball back into the net. Takes a count to 1-1.
Good, come me. Good, come me. Good, come me. Good, come me.
In your time, mate.
Two balls, two strikes.
No, you got to come in.
And liking the look of that high pitch on the swing out of the plate. So 2 down. Temporary runner coming in, so Hayton goes in to run for pitcher McDonald. And Koki Hoshi into the batter's box for Marlborough. And Hayton down to second. Ball just going the wrong side of the plate there for second baseman Durham to make a tag. But he gathers it in and stops any more advancing on that. So Koki is against his old teammates. He used to play for South Canterbury. He's made the move up to Marlborough, fell in that one back into the roof. And Hayton's called for leaving early. So heading into the bottom of the second innings, Marlborough taking the lead with that at bat, 2 runs to 0. And leading off in the bottom of the second innings, we've got 56, the catcher for South Canterbury, Sam Gilchrist. Sam's just a young player here from Canterbury that is a pickup for South Canterbury. Great to have him involved. That's a good gap there over the head of the second baseman and short of the right fielder. Gilchrist picking up a single. Chris Agnew into the batter's box now for South Canterbury. And on the short play there, dancing the run around to Gilchrist, safe over at 2. Agnew sacrifice. Ricky Minchington into the batter's box now for South Canterbury.
Hey, Rick! Hey, up! Right, head look here, Rick. Get the drug now. Hey, chin there, Rick. Right out. In there.
That one just getting away from McDonald, allows Gilchrist around to 3. And a nice pitch there to take the count to 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a hard hit back at the pitcher who makes the play at the person at third base. On the misfield allows Sam Gilchrist across home plate for South Canterbury. South Canterbury on the board now. Minchington making his way round to 2. And that brings into the batter's box now for South Canterbury, Jacob White. And attempt at the bunt. For a strike. He's got 1 down, runner at 2. Two strikes on the batter. And a good recovery there by Bird, but the ball taken by the runner on that play. So Minchington safe over at 3. 1 ball, 2 strikes on our batter Jacob White. And fouled back, warned by the catcher, not able to keep hold of it though on the foul tip. Count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes. And good job there by Will McDonald to get the out of the plate to take his team to 2 outs. And Hapani Kumaroa into the batter's box now for South Canterbury. Lead-off hitter for them. And fouling that one back, we've got a count of 1-1. And hip pitch, Hapani Kumaroa will make his way over to first base. Jacob Gray into the batter's box now for South Canterbury.
Go on, Jacob. Jakey! Hey, get in now. Go, Jake. All right, Jake. Come on, Jakey. Box them up, man. Make it first strike. In front now.
Filling that one into the net. We've got 1 ball, 1 strike. That's going to be an effective hit there down the left line. That's going to score 2 runners. And Jacob Gray safe over sliding into second base. So South Canterbury taking the lead in this game now in the bottom of the second innings. We've got 3 runs to 2. And into the batter's box, Corey Durham. Runner over at 2. 2 down. And nice pitch there on the inside drop by McDonald to draw the swing out of Durham. There's a hard hit down the left line, foul of third baseman. 1 ball, 2 strikes. So we've got some cloud cover here today at the ballpark. Bit of relief from the heat that we had yesterday. Quite a few burnt people walking around. It's a hard hit down to third baseman Hayton, who gets the out over at 1 and will bring his team in to have a hit. It's South Canterbury doing some damage in that innings, coming back from being 2 down to taking the lead, 3-2. Heading into the top of the third innings, Koki Hoshi coming in to lead off for the Marlborough team.
I know, right?
Two strikes here on Hoshi. beautiful pitch there by Chris Agnew. Gets it out at the plate for the first out here in the top of the third innings. And that'll bring into the batter's box. Lead-off hitter for Marlborough, number 61, centre fielder, Anaru Anderson. It's a big foul ball. It's going to go over the fence, so he'll be okay on that one. So 1 strike. It's a hard hit to left field. It's being tracked back by the fielder. Anaru Anderson, stand-up triple, almost right over the fence, but just falling short of it. That's a beautiful start there. That brings into the batter's box now for Marlborough, Dane Gill. Two strikes on our batter. And that one just getting away from the catcher allows Anaru Anderson to cross the plate for Marlborough. That'll tie up our ball game here in the top of the third innings. And big foul ball back over the net. One ball, 2 strikes here on Gill. Just a little bit too far on the outside. We've got 2 balls, 2 strikes. It's a hard hit down, but it's going to go foul off the right line. It sounded like it hit a bit of an awkward spot on the bat. Sounded like it jarred. And back into it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Full count on our batter. So Gill picking up the walk, heads on down to 1 into the batter's box now for Marlborough. We've got Braden Healy. So 1 down. Score's all tied up here in the top of the third innings. So hard hit there by Braden Healy. It's going to be over the fence for an automatic home run to Braden Healy. Will score Gill and give his team a 2-run lead here in the top of the third innings. Tyler Bird into the batter's box now for Marlborough. We've got a change happening for South Canterbury. Corey Durham's going to take over the pitching duty for Chris Agnew, who's done a lot of pitching for the South Canterbury team over the last 2 days. So just getting his 5 pitches in to warm up here, Durham. He's coming in cold and been on the diamond. And that's his 5 pitches. We're about to get back underway here in the top of the third innings. Marlborough currently got the lead 5 runs to 3 thanks to the automatic home run by Braden Healy. 1 down and Tyler Bird into the batter's box. Thank you. Apologies for the mute there, team. And on the pitch, Corey Durham doing a great job coming into the game here and getting the out at the plate. So the second out here in the top of the third innings. Andrew Robertson to the batter's box now for Marlborough. And that's a nice pitch on the inside, drawing a swing out of Roberts. One ball, one strike. And it's a big foul ball down the left line for Roberts. Falling safe, so he's going to come back and have another go at it. Got 2 balls, 2 strikes. And another big foul ball. It's going to be over the fence, so who's going to have another go at it again? Just needing to adjust to that slightly slower pitch here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And this time down the third baseline. Picked up nicely by the third baser, and just a fumble at first base allows Roberts safe. Blake Wisdom into the batter's box now for Marlborough. Runner over at 1, 2 down. And that one just going wide off the plate. Just not quite able to reach over and get that one, allowing Roberts down to 2. That's a hard hit between the 5-6 hole for Wisdom. He'll pick up an RBI for his trouble and make his way over to second base. As Marlborough extend their lead out 6 runs to 3 here in the top of the third innings. Into the batter's box now we've got Will McDonald. That's a high pop going in for the pitcher, but taken by first baseman on the fly ball. Surely that one made Corey Durham a little bit uncomfortable. Usually out in the field, probably very capable of catching that one for himself, but as tends to happen, somebody else comes in to catch it for the pitcher. So heading into the bottom of the third innings, Marlborough out to a lead of 6 runs to 3. Dan Flanagan's going to be the lead-off hitter here for South Canterbury. And Flanagan into the batter's box now for South Canterbury. Matt Benison on deck circle. And that one just getting out of the hand of the third baseman. He did a good job to get across to get a glove to it. I think he actually did too good a job. He actually came a little bit too far and palmed it. A little bit off the palm wrist. So Flanagan safe over at 1. Matt Benison into the batter's box. And a beautiful bunt put down. Third baseman makes a nice play over to 1 to get the out, but sacrifice bunt there by Benison to advance Flanagan over to 2. And into the batter's box we have Sam Gilchrist. And Gilchrist doing a good job to get out of the way of that one. And Tyler Bird recovering from it off the back net and makes the play at 3, tagging out Flanagan on the slide. Two balls. And Fallon it went over the net, takes it out 2 balls, 1 strike. And a nice pitch there by McDonald, drawing the swing out of Gilchrist. But 2 balls, 2 strikes. That's a beautiful hit. It is taken nicely there by shortstop Scoob to pick it up on the backhand and make a very quick transition to a throw over to Dane Gill, who did a great job to reach for that one as absolutely far as he could. But Gilchrist just deep enough into that shortstop hole to be able to beat it out. Chris Agnew into the batter's box. Apologies, not Chris Agnew in the batter's box. Once I get the jersey number, I can tell you who it is. Nathan Bobbett into the batter's box now. replacing Chris Agnew in the batting lineup
And now, Bobby, let's go, mate.
for South Canterbury.
Hey, Bobby. Go, Bobby.
It's a hard hit ball down. Third baseman trying to cut that one off and cutting across in front of the shortstop and gloving it away from him. Allows runner safe at 1 and Gilchrist safe at 3. So runners on the corners here for South Canterbury. Timeout called for Marlborough. Just some little errors starting to creep into their play out there. So nice work there by Tyler Bird to have a timeout and a chat and just to settle it down a little bit. Ricky Minchington into the batter's box here for South Canterbury. As I say, runners on the corners, but 2 down. Fouling that one into the net. We've got 1 ball, 1 strike. Still got runners on the corner here. I think that runner at 1 though is going to be going. And as he is. I always love it when you can pick up the calls from the coaches. Because of the foul ball, that blind steal has had to come back to 1. Again, he's going to be going. He makes his way safe on the drop ball by the catcher. So runners on 2 and 3 now for South Canterbury. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ricky Minchington. And a beautiful pitch up high by McDonald, pairing up nicely with Bird to get the out at the plate. And not allowing any runs across in that innings for the South Canterbury team. So Marlborough keep the lead, 6 runs to 3 as we head into the top of the 4th. Callum Hayton's going to lead off for Marlborough as we're in the top of the 4th innings. Good lead strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. That's a nice gap there by Hayton, short of the right fielder, picking up a single, and that brings into the batter's box here for Marlborough, Koki Hoshi. And foul ball on the attempt at a bunt. Just contact made slightly deep into the zone and it dropped perfectly, just a little bit too deep to be able to get into fair play. And again looking to get it just under that ball, raising it back into the net. We've got 2 strikes. Oh, nice pitch. Nice pitch there by Durham to get the out at the plate, and Hayton diving into second base. Bit of a collision there, ball spilt out and safe. And Anaru Anderson into the batter's box now for Marlborough, lead-off hitter for them. And that's a big hit in right field. I think it's going to be fair, and spilled out of the glove of the right fielder. He had to cover a bit of ground on that one. And back-to-back triples now for Anaru Anderson. Certainly bat is looking hot for Anderson. And Dane Gill into the batter's box now. And a beautiful bunt put down, fielded by the pitcher. Just electing not to make a play at 1 because Gill was pretty quick down that line, and I think he made the right decision not to make a play on that one. Anderson over at 3, he's got some wheels too. If he'd made that throw, Anderson would have broken for home. So runners on the corners here for Marlborough. It's a hard hit down to shortstop, who makes a beautiful play. Takes it on the force at 2 and gets it across to 1. Nice and tidy. A beautiful double there by Hapani Kumura. We're heading into the bottom of the 4th innings. Score currently 7 runs to 3 to Marlborough. Jacob White's going to be leading off for the South Canterbury team in the bottom of this fourth innings. Then they'll be back to the top of their batting lineup. And goes at that first pitch, fouling it back into the net. And just getting away from pitcher into the